Hello, I'm Bert Bassett. I've been a business seller on eBay for over 20 years. I even worked for eBay for 11 years. I've helped thousands of sellers of all sizes to grow their sales on eBay. Now I'm creating videos to help you. In this video, I'm going to talk about the idea that you might have to pay tax on the sales you make on eBay in the UK. So if you're one of my US viewers, you can go away now. This is not for you. I'll start the video with some advice. I'm not an accountant or a tax lawyer. You should always use your common sense when taking random advice from random strangers on the internet. Messing up your tax can get you in trouble. If you're not sure, contact HMRC. I've spoken to them many times. They're nice. If you know an accountant or a tax lawyer, they can help you out, but don't take everything you find on the internet as gospel. This is just going to point you in the right direction, this video. What's it about? Before Christmas, actually in the autumn, you will have probably seen some slightly hysterical headlines around the place on the internet saying that there is a new side hustle set of tax rules. That people who use selling apps may have to pay income tax on their earnings, as it says here from the Manchester Evening News. What is the truth of this, in fact? Well, actually, there's no change to the way that tax works. Every single thing is exactly the same as it was before. So if you weren't liable to pay tax before, you're not liable now. And if you were liable to pay tax before, you still are. Generally, if you're just a casual seller on the platform, there's nothing to worry about. All that's happening that's different is that marketplaces are now telling the tax people what you sell. So it's a reporting issue. Previously, as an example on eBay, eBay would probably only talk to the tax people if someone on the platform who wasn't registered for VAT was selling beyond the VAT threshold. That's people who don't have a VAT number but are selling like 90 grand's worth of stuff a year. Now there is a new reporting requirement. I'm just going to go through a flow chart so you kind of understand it step by step. Here's the diagram. So we'll just start here. In the year, and the tax year is April to April. Calendar year, obviously, is the normal calendar year. Have you sold over 30 items or items added up to £1,700? It's either. So if you've sold a lot of little things, over 30 of them, then that's something. Or if you've sold a small amount of things, but they're of a relatively high value, so it adds up to 1,700. Now, if the answer to that is no, then nothing is going to happen. Again, you can walk away now from this video. If the answer is yes, then eBay will tell the tax people. HMRC will be informed. They will send to the tax authorities how much you've sold on eBay during the year. Not entirely sure of the details of this yet because it's going to start in February. I don't know whether it's going to be reported in the tax year or whether it's going to be the calendar year. As a result of the tax people being informed of what you've done, then HMRC may write to you or contact you asking you to fill out or add a self-assessment form. Now, usually when one of these new things happens, all of the baddies come out of the woodwork and there's loads of phishing and fraud stuff that goes on. So be very careful. If someone contacts you or sends you a link about you owing them tax or anything like that, be very, very suspicious about it. Generally, don't click on links or respond to phone calls. Actually, just go to the government website, look this kind of stuff up, and that way you're going to be safer. But protect yourself from the fact that lots of people are going to be uncertain and they'll have kind of semi-heard that they're going to receive something about tax. Criminals use that to exploit people. So be wise online. Now, even though you may have sold that amount, doesn't mean you're due tax or anything like that. So we move down to the next part here, which is, have you sold things which were originally your possessions? Like, are you clearing out your wardrobe? Are you selling some old board games or DVDs? Is it an unwanted present that you're trying to get rid of? Is it your kids' clothes, your partner's golf club, something like that? If the answer to that is yes, i.e. you're selling things that you used to own and use, then the only thing you have to know is, was any of your possessions worth more than 6,000 that you sold? Now, if the answer to that is yes, you may owe capital gains tax, which is a different thing. Now, I'm not going to talk about capital gains tax. If you're the kind of person that's selling items for £6,000 on eBay, get your butler to ring your accountant. If the answer to that is no, and you were only selling personal possessions and none of those possessions individually were worth more than £6,000, then you don't owe any tax. So even if the tax man is bothering you, you will not have to actually pay anything. You may have to tell the tax man that these were just personal possessions, none of which were of any significant value, but you don't owe any tax. Now, where the tax comes in is, have you sold things which are originally your possessions? If the answer to that is no, i.e. you have bought or made something specifically in order to sell it, then you're getting into the territory of potentially owing tax. Now, situations like that will be that maybe you began by selling your own clothes, but then what you did is you went to charity shops or car boot sales or something like that, and you bought items that you thought were good specifically so you could sell them on. Maybe you make decorative items or something like that, and you put them together and then thought, well, I can sell these now. These are things that other people will want. That's basically it. If it wasn't something which you owned and used and was a possession of yours or gifted to you or something like that, if it's something you've said, I am buying this specifically so I can sell it later on, then that counts as something that might well incur some tax. So if you answered yes here, then you ask yourself the question, after you take away all your costs, have you made more than £1,000? So you sit there and say, well, if I bought my goods for £500 and I sold them for £1,000, then actually you've only made £500 net. If you've spent £500 on goods and you have made in profit like £2,000, then you've made £1,500 after your costs. If that number is over 1,000, then I will scroll down. You're going to need to pay income tax on what you made over £1,000. If it's under £1,000, you don't owe tax. Now, the reason for that is everybody as an individual has an allowance of £1,000 for online trading profit that they can make before they have to pay any tax on it, regardless of anything else. Be aware, though, this is across all your online trading. So if you are on eBay and Vinted and other platforms, you've got to clump all this stuff together. And actually, where I've put eBay in this diagram, remember that that's just a shorthand for all the places where you sell things. And all of these marketplaces will be pushing data to the government, to HMRC, the tax people. So cumulatively, you could find yourself over the threshold. Now, this is not different. You have always been expected to do this. If you're making that much money from your eBay trading by buying things specifically to sell, this was always what you were supposed to do. So the difference here is that eBay is telling the tax people this, whereas previously the tax people did not know. Now, this means, this is where I give you my kind of dad statement. Even if the tax people haven't asked you to fill out a self-assessment, or they haven't asked you how much money did you make, you are still supposed to tell them about this, and you're still supposed to pay tax on it. So don't think that just because somehow the taxman hasn't found out that you've made trading profits in excess of £1,000, that means somehow you don't owe tax, because you do. The reality of the situation is that I don't think the tax people have the resources to be chasing tens or hundreds of thousands of people over potentially very small amounts of money. But as I said right at the beginning of this video, tax stuff is important, and if you mess it up, you can get into trouble. So please bear that in mind. If you want to take risks, you really are taking risks and you are potentially doing things which are illegal. And on that note, hopefully that's explained it quite nicely for everybody. As you can understand, I probably won't be able to answer detailed questions within the comments, but I'd like to hear your opinion on this. So please do comment. If you liked the video and it was helpful, please like and subscribe and tell all your friends because it helps. Thank you very much and goodbye.